Shen Tiantian let out a shriek and removed the foul-smelling rag that was covering her face. When she saw me, her expression turned panicked, and she withdrew from the embrace of my fiancé, Gu Junhan. Xuanxuan, don't misunderstand. Just now, some sand got into my eyes, and brother Junhan was just blowing it out for me. I gave a cold sneer. Blow your ass. He was taken aback, and his face immediately turned somewhat ugly. Well, it's going to get even uglier. I lifted the tip of my shoe and extended it in front of her. Kneel down and clean my shoes. Don't make me say it twice. Shen Tiantian stared at me intently, her eye sockets red, tears still welling up in her eyes, her white teeth biting hard on her lower lip, exuding an air of utter fragility. Even the heroines in Qiongyao's novels would have to take lessons from her. She slowly bent down and knelt. Gu Junhan frowned tightly, his face ashen, and rushed forward to help her up. He coldly rebuked me. Li Xianxian, that's enough. Don't go too far. I gave him a cold glance. Either you kneel down and clean for her, or shut the fuck up. Gu Junhan was stunned, looking at me in astonishment. Of course he was stunned. After all, this was the first time I had ever spoken to him in such a tone. In the past, as soon as he showed a sour face, I would immediately humble myself and coax him in a servile manner. As is well known, Li Xianxian is Gu Junhan's devoted admirer, having fallen in love with him at first sight, and being crazy about him, as if bewitched. Many people don't understand. In fact, I sometimes don't understand it myself. He is indeed handsome, with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes, and red lips and white teeth. But as the eldest daughter of the Li family, I've seen all kinds of handsome men since I was a child. There's no need to be so infatuated. It was not until today that I realized that I was actually manipulated by the plot. Li Xianxian, the vicious female supporting character, woke up. Last night, I had a dream and discovered that I was living in a redemption novel. The female protagonist, Shen Tiantian, is my best friend in the novel. The male protagonist, Gu Junhan, is my fiancé. One is a down-and-out rich girl, and the other is a wealthy family's illegitimate child. They redeem each other, and are two-way lovers. And I'm just a stumbling block between the male and female protagonists, a catalyst for their emotions. After the Shen family went bankrupt, Shen Tiantian became a plaything for her parents to curry favor with the powerful. They wanted to sell her to a rich old man. I persuaded my father to invest a large sum of money in her family. Afraid that she would be bullied, I invited her to live in my house for a long time. I paid her exorbitant tuition and living expenses. I was completely sincere to her, but she betrayed me. On the surface, she was my good sister, but secretly, she gave me a slow-acting nerve poison for 3 whole years. Finally, she locked me up in a mental hospital. Then, she joined hands with Gu Junhan to gradually nibble away at my family's company, and finally take it over. My parents regretted it deeply. When they came to visit me in the mental hospital, they were involved in a car accident on the way and died. Shen Tiantian deliberately came to see me, and told me the bad news. I wept bitterly and tried to rush out like a madman. But the doctors and nurses pinned my arms behind my back, and pressed me hard to the ground. Shen Tiantian lifted her high heels, and stepped on my head. Li Xianxian, you finally come to this day. I knew Gu Junhan earlier than you, but as soon as you showed up, you snatched him away. You still look innocent, and pretend to know nothing. I hate your arrogant look the most. We were both born as rich girls, and I just had bad luck. My family went bankrupt. You with your young lady status, throwing money at my parents and at me. Does it make you feel so superior? Her face was distorted, and she was aggressive. I suddenly burst out laughing at my own stupidity and my poor judgment in choosing friends, having raised a venomous, ungrateful wretch. I was completely disheartened, and was about to commit suicide in the ward. The subsequent plot was that the male and female protagonists worked together to build their careers, eliminating all opposing forces. The happy ending made me sick. Since heaven has made me awake, then I'll let this bitch know what true viciousness is. The female supporting character Gu Junhan was still standing there in a daze, looking at me in amazement. With my hot temper I snapped. What the hell are you daydreaming about? You don't even have the guts to clean her shoes. What kind of man are you? Shen Tiantian grabbed him, shaking her head while crying. Tears streamed down her face, making her look as delicate as a pear blossom in the rain, extremely poignant. Brother Junhan, this has nothing to do with you. If kneeling down to clean shoes can make Xuanxuan feel better, I don't mind. With that, she knelt down beside my feet and started cleaning. Gu Junhan looked extremely distressed, angry and furious. He rushed forward and pushed me hard. I was caught off guard and fell to the ground. My knee hit the hard marble floor, causing a cold sweat of pain to break out all over me. In an instant my anger flared. I got up expressionlessly, and without a word, slapped Gu Junhan more than a dozen times in quick succession. Gu Junhan was dumbfounded, and so was Shen Tiantian. After coming to their senses, Shen Tiantian rushed forward stubbornly, trying to shield him. Since she came forward on her own, I wasn't going to be polite. I slapped Shen Tiantian's pure and fair face repeatedly. Shen Tiantian was beaten into submission, covering her swollen face and running out crying. Gu Junhan was anxious, and immediately wanted to chase after her. I watched coldly. Just as he was about to rush out of the door, I said slowly, "If you dare take one step out of this room, tomorrow, your position as the heir of the Gu family will be replaced by your brother, Gu Tsongji. Think it over yourself." Gu Junhan suddenly stopped in his tracks, his fists clenched and veins bulging. "Li Xianxian, are you crazy? All you know is to be jealous and act so insanely even towards friends. Is she even human?" I gave him a charming smile. "I hope you get a clear understanding of your position. You belong to me, Li Xianxian. Even if I were to give my things to a dog, I wouldn't give them to the bitch who betrayed me." Gu Junhan looked at me with a stern face, his eyes as cold as ice. "You're simply unreasonable. Your unscrupulous methods will only make me loathe you more." This stupid male lead still wanted to use the cold shoulder tactic. Couldn't he come up with something new? What on earth do you think you are? Do you really consider yourself a big shot? You're always pulling that long face. Are you crazy? If you're so good at pulling a face, go pull a mill. Also, you'd better watch your tone when talking to me. This young lady has a short temper. Don't provoke me. I bombarded him like a machine gun, then left with a swagger. Shen Tiantian moved out of my house. On the day she left, she packed her things right in front of me. She probably expected me to persuade her to stay. After all, in the past, I not only fawned over Gu Junhan but also over her, treating her as a true friend. But now, I directly kicked over her suitcase with a flying kick. "What the hell are you packing? Do these things even belong to you? Remember, you moved in here empty-handed. All the clothes, jewelry, bags, and even this suitcase in my house were bought by me." Shen Tiantian looked at the clothes scattered all over the floor. Her eyes reddened again, looking pitiful. "Xian, I've already explained to you. That was just a misunderstanding last time. Do you really have to treat me like this?" I was too lazy to waste words with her. "Get lost." She dropped the act and said resentfully, "Li Xianxian, you're not so great either. Fortune can change in a few years. Don't regret it in the future and don't come begging me." I almost burst out laughing. "Shut up, will you?" My parents were traveling abroad. When they learned that I had fallen out with Shen Tiantian, my mother specially called me on a video call. "Honey, haven't you been wronged, have you?" When I saw my mother, my nose twitched, and I couldn't hold back a few tears. Now, not only my mother but also my father was flustered. "What's going on? Why are you crying?" "Dad will book a flight back to the country right away. We'll come back to be with you." My mother was heartbroken and kept comforting me. "Honey, don't be too sad. Friends are like this. Not all friends can accompany you for a lifetime. Some friends are just for a certain stage. They appear in your life for a while then leave. And in the next stage, new friends will appear." They didn't even ask me the reason, and unconditionally took my side. These were my parents. They had always loved me deeply. They were also puppets of the novel author, manipulated by the plot. Under my influence, they gradually accepted Shen Tiantian, treated her like their own, trusted her kindness but were exploited, and finally ended up with no remains. "Shen Tiantian, you deserve to die." Before every day when I went to school alone, Shen Tiantian was my only friend. But Shen Tiantian had a good popularity, was very amiable, and was well-liked. There were rumors in the school that I had a young lady's temper, and bullied my friends. It was a familiar pattern, a familiar smell. It was obviously Shen Tiantian's doing, fanning the flames and adding fuel to the fire behind the scenes. Everyone in the school started to isolate me. It didn't matter. I wasn't interested in making friends anyway. It was quite refreshing to be alone. One day after school, I carried newly bought jerky and cans to feed the stray dogs and cats outside the school. From a distance, I actually saw Shen Tiantian squatting there. In an instant my anger flared. I rushed over at a sprinting speed, and pushed her hard to the ground. "Tiantian, if you dare touch them, today will be your last day." Shen Tiantian fell to the ground, her eyes filled with tears, sobbing softly. I didn't mean anything. I just wanted to feed them. The classmates around gathered around and whispered, "What's wrong with Li Xianxian?" Relying on her family background, she only knows how to bully people all day long. Isn't Tiantian her best friend? How can someone treat their best friend like this? It's so annoying. What best friend? The two of them have already fallen out. Fortunately, Tiantian has a good temper. Who else could tolerate Li Xianxian? I glared at them fiercely. "Shut the fuck up. If your mouths are so free, go lick the toilet bowls. Don't chatter here. Even flies are more likable than you." The crowd scattered like birds and beasts. They disliked me but couldn't do anything to me because the Li family and the Gu family were the top families in City C. If they didn't like it, they could only hold it in. With the onlookers gone, I sneered at Shen Tiantian. Keep acting. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. Those stray kittens and puppies often don't want to be caged by humans. So I bring cans to feed them every day. Shen Tiantian has come with me a few times. In the original plot, in order to completely portray me as a mentally abnormal madwoman, Shen Tiantian killed all these kittens and puppies, skinned and dismembered them, leaving them bloody, and then framed me. She said that I cruelly killed these stray little animals, using their trust in me to kill them. At that time, I had already taken the slow-acting poison for several years, and often had hallucinations, so I believed it was really my doing. This was the last straw that broke me. I completely collapsed, and was finally sent to a mental hospital. Just thinking about this, I wish I could tear her into pieces. Shen Tiantian was still sitting on the ground, pretending to be pitiful. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. So I simply went up and kicked her a few times, making her scream. Shen Tiantian, I warn you, don't play such despicable tricks. If you have the guts, come at me. A cold rebuke came from behind. Li Xuanxuan, that's enough. I turned around and saw. Oh, the idiot has arrived. Gu Junhan walked over, and helped Shen Tiantian up from the ground. He even gently and attentively patted the shoe prints I had kicked on her skirt. Shen Tiantian blushed, looking coy. I said coolly, are you performing a rated R scene in broad daylight? It's really immoral. Shen Tiantian said in a sobbing voice, acting coquettishly. Xuanxuan, do you have to speak so harshly? Brother Junhan was just helping me pat the dust off. Gu Junhan's brows knitted into a frown, like that constipated look. It was really disgusting to look at. He said to me gloomily, have you had enough? Do you know that the way you deliberately bully Tiantian and try to monopolize me is really disgusting? Shen Tiantian stood behind him, looking smug, her eyes challenging me. I've said it before. I'm not someone with a good temper. I never swallow my anger. I know your uncle. I directly rolled up my sleeves and slapped his face left and right, making him cry out in pain. Gu Junhan, are you fucking stupid? Where did you get the confidence to say that I want to monopolize you? You're such a piece of trash. I wouldn't even want you if you were given to me. You've been the heir of the Gu family for a few days, and you don't know your place anymore. Do you really think you're a big deal? Without me, you're nothing. Let's call off the engagement. I'm really fed up with you, you idiot. When he heard about calling off the engagement, Gu Junhan's face changed. He rushed up and tried to grab me, but my bodyguard pushed him away. I was too lazy to waste more words, and took the cans to coax those little kittens and puppies. He shouted hysterically, how could you be willing to call off the engagement with me? You must be lying to me. You're trying to threaten me in this way, aren't you? You idiot Li Xuanxuan. I'm Gu Junhan, the Gu Junhan you love the most. You'll be in pain for the rest of your life if you lose me. Seeing that I was really determined, and didn't even bother to look at him, he finally came to his senses, and immediately knelt down. He eagerly explained, there's really nothing between me and Shen Tiantian. How could I possibly fancy Shen Tiantian, that kind of lowly woman? Xuanxuan, I beg you, don't call off the engagement. Give me another chance. I love you. Tiantian's face immediately turned deathly pale. She was so angry that she was almost foaming at the mouth. She rushed over to scratch Gu Junhan's face. Gu Junhan, I'll kill you. Gu Junhan looked indifferent, and pushed her away hard. If it weren't for you deliberately seducing me, how could I have fallen for your tricks? A woman like you, so promiscuous, how could you possibly be worthy of my noble status? I couldn't help but laugh. The dog-eat-dog scene was really disgusting yet satisfying. I kidnapped all the little strays back to my home. Shen Tiantian was like a time bomb. For the safety of the little strays, I had no other choice. Fortunately, my villa was big enough. After raising them for a while, they quickly got used to the environment. During this period, I deeply felt what it meant for fortune to change. Gu Junhan turned into a sycophant, being overly attentive to me, trying to curry favor. He finally realized later, and started to be afraid. This was reality. Although Gu Junhan was favored by his father, he was still an illegitimate child after all, and his status in the family was rather awkward. And his older brother, Gu Zongji, was the legitimate eldest son, and had the support of his grandfather. If it weren't for the engagement with me and the support of my Li family, he, Gu Junhan, was nothing. Whether he could get a share of the family property was unknown. Everyone in this circle was shrewd. Even if Gu Junhan was blinded by love, he could figure it out. Comparing me and Shen Tiantian, I was more valuable to him. Sometimes common interests were more solid than love. Recently, I had been leading Gu Junhan on, not telling my parents about calling off the engagement for the time being. First, I gave him infinite hope, and then I would let him fall heavily. This way, it would be more interesting, wouldn't it? Next month was the birthday of the old man of the Gu family. I asked the driver to take me to the mall to look at high-end custom-made dresses. He had taken care of me for a while when I was a child, and also taught me calligraphy. I definitely had to go to his birthday. Before the car reached the mall, I received a call from Gu Junhan. His voice on the phone was low and gentle, as if he had become a different person. Xuanxuan, which mall are you at? I'll come and accompany you. After we're tired from shopping, let's have dinner together. There's a new high-end Western restaurant in the West City. It's very nice. I curled my lips and gave a silent sneer. I was just looking for an opportunity to play with him, and here the opportunity came. After shopping frantically for an afternoon, Gu Junhan's card was maxed out by me. His face turned dark, but he pretended it didn't. I was extremely happy, but I pretended not to be. Finally, I chose another black dress, the most expensive and the most beautiful one. When it was time to pay, the IC said that his card couldn't be used. I gave a short laugh. On the surface, I was nonchalant, but in fact, I was very disdainful. If it doesn't work, use mine. His face instantly turned beet red. His words were domineering, but actually his voice was trembling. You're my fiancé. Of course I should pay the bill. Xuanxuan, you sit down and take a rest for a while. Wait for me a moment. He went out to make a phone call, probably asking his father for money. I had bought a lot of bags, clothes, and shoes today, spending almost 3 million on his card. I felt much better, having vented my anger a little. A few minutes later, he came back with another card and quickly paid the bill. He carried big and small bags, my spoils of war. Afraid that I would keep buying endlessly, he started to suggest going to eat. Are you tired from shopping? How about we go to the restaurant? I almost burst out laughing. I casually glanced at the coffee shop next to us, and immediately saw the familiar figure inside. Your sweetheart is having a date with a man behind your back. What a huge cuckold. Xuanxuan followed my gaze. Shen Tiantian was sitting with an old man, chatting and laughing intimately. Xuanxuan's already dark face instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. I was overjoyed. What are you Ma? Why don't you go say hello? He looked expressionless and retracted his gaze. I have nothing to do with Shen Tiantian. Really Xuanxuan? You have to believe me. Let's just leave her alone. I directly walked into the coffee shop and sat down in a position where I could easily watch the show. Why leave? Have a cup of coffee and take a rest. Xuanxuan had no choice but to follow and sit down. I sipped my coffee slowly, while Xuanxuan was on pins and needles. How could he not be in a hurry? I had already told him he had a huge cuckold on his head. In fact, I had hired a private detective to keep an eye on these two people. They seemed to have broken up, but actually they had moved their affair underground. Every day, they were scheming to inherit the family business and bring down and swallow up my Li family's property. At this time, the old man's hand had moved from pinching Shen Tiantian's little hand to pinching her slender waist, and the hand was still moving upward. Suddenly Xuanxuan shot out like a spring. As expected, he couldn't hold it in anymore. I watched the show leisurely. I saw Xuanxuan grab the old man's hand and protect Shen Tiantian behind him, shouting angrily, "Are you fucking Tao Su?" When Shen Tiantian saw him, she was first startled, then her eyes filled with tears. She tugged at his clothes, looking wronged and dependent, like a delicate little white flower. The old man looked back and forth between the two of them a few times, and suddenly realized. He pointed at Shen Tiantian's nose and cursed, "Damn it, you bitch. You swindled my money and kept a gigolo outside, didn't you? I'll beat you to death today, you two adulterers." Although the old man was a bit older, he had a muscular body, and was very fierce in a fight. Xuanxuan, with his thin build, was no match for him at all and soon fell behind. The coffee shop staff and the mall security came to persuade them, but it was no use. They fought fiercely, as if the sky and the earth were changing color. Shen Tiantian hid in a safe place and screamed, "Stop, don't fight anymore." And I calmly took out my phone, and took a bunch of photos and videos to post on DIY, recording the beautiful life. Finally, someone called the police. The police arrived quickly, and took everyone to the police station. The old man was a flexible person. He wailed in the police station, "Lord, you have to uphold justice for me. This woman took a 10 million yuan betrothal gift from me, and said she would marry me. But she's actually hooking up with a gigolo outside cuckolding me." I was so angry that I couldn't help but fight. Look at what he's done to me. Please, Lord, investigate clearly. I'm the victim." Xuanxuan was so angry that he almost foamed at the mouth. Who the hell is cuckolding who? And this old man just has a slightly broken corner of his mouth. I'm the one who was beaten black and blue. He's actually turning things around. Shen Tiantian didn't say a word and just cried, crying from beginning to end. The old man got angry when he saw her crying. He cursed angrily. Cry, that's all you know how to do. You've cried away all my fortune. A woman as promiscuous as you. I don't want you anymore. Give me back the 10 million, and we'll go our separate ways. The police officer was extremely speechless and couldn't help but sigh and persuade Shen Tiantian. Young lady, if you don't want to marry him, you shouldn't have taken his money. Return the money. Shen Tiantian was crying so hard that her cheeks were flushed, looking extremely pitiful. I didn't take it. It was my parents who took it. The money has long been spent. Anyway, I didn't get a single cent. Go ask my parents to return it. Don't come to me. I really don't have the money. I interjected leisurely. It doesn't matter if you don't have the money. Young Master Gu does. I looked at Xuanxuan, whose face was like a pig's head, with a faint smile that was more mocking than friendly. Xuanxuan, after all, we've known each other for a while. Help her out. It's just a measly 10 million. It's nothing to you, the young master of the Gu family. With this, the idea was set in motion. Shen Tiantian looked at him with full of expectation. The old man looked at him with full of expectation. And I looked at him with schadenfreude. Thus, Xuanxuan was pushed into a corner, and reluctantly made another phone call. Unfortunately, he failed before he even started. The furious scolding from the other end of the phone was deafening. Xuanxuan, you little brat. You're still a student, and you're asking for 10 million. Do you think your father's money grows on trees? Your extravagant and wasteful playboy habits. Fix them for me right away, or I'll twist your head off. In one breath, the scolding was done, and then the call was hung up. Xuanxuan lost both face and dignity, and still couldn't pay the money. Shen Tiantian completely reneged on her promise. After all, it was the Shen family who took the money. What did it have to do with her, Shen Tiantian? The old man couldn't swallow this humiliation. On one hand, he went to the court to sue and force the Shen family to return the money. On the other hand, he paid someone to write a dramatic little article about his entanglement with Shen Tiantian. Then he found a few old cars with big speakers installed on the roofs, and made them drive around the school, playing the article vividly in full. The students in this aristocratic school had never seen such an old-fashioned and down-to-earth way of publicity. It immediately ignited everyone's enthusiasm for gossiping. The old man struck while the iron was hot, and asked someone to upload his little essay to the school forum. The topic was completely detonated. Shen Tiantian, the social butterfly, had a reputation setback, and became the focus of public opinion. She was pointed at and gossiped about every day. She stopped me on the playground, hysterically crying and going crazy. Are you satisfied now? Seeing me so miserable, seeing me like a stinking rat in the gutter, unable to turn things around in the sewer. Are you happy? I folded my arms, admiring her ugly and crazy state of collapse, and smiled slightly. No. It's far from enough. You're just a topic of conversation, being talked about casually behind people's backs. You haven't lost a piece of flesh or shed a drop of blood. What kind of misery is this? If you want to satisfy me, you have to keep working hard. Only when you end up in utter ruin, with your reputation destroyed and your body gone, will I really be happy. Come on, Miss Shen. Shen Tiantian was intimidated by my imposing manner, and couldn't help but take a few steps back. I put away my smile, turned around indifferently and left. This was just the first step. Shen Tiantian, don't be too fragile. There are many more good shows to come. All the things your family did to me back then, I will return them to you tenfold, or even 100-fold. The old man caused a ruckus for a while, and then withdrew. It was said that Shen Tiantian had paid back the 10 million. Soon everyone forgot about this matter. Shen Tiantian regained her popularity. For this, she even sent me a WeChat message to show off. Disappointed? I will never end up in utter ruin in this life. But you will. I exited the chat with her, and saw a WeChat message from the old man. Miss Li, everything is going as planned. I attended the old man of the Gu family's birthday banquet with my parents. I presented a carefully selected gift, a Qing Dynasty Qianlong pastel cloud and dragon writing brush. The old man was fond of calligraphy, and this gift really hit the spot. He smiled and asked me, Xian girl, have you neglected the calligraphy that Grandpa Gu taught you? I blinked my eyes and said naively, how dare I neglect it? I practice every day. The old man ordered someone beside him. Good. Sungji, go get my pen, ink, paper and inkstone quickly. Let Xian girl write a few characters for us to see. Only then did I notice Gu Sungji standing beside the old man. He was tall and straight, dressed in a well-fitted suit, wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, looking cold and noble. It seemed that for the old man's birthday, he had rushed back from abroad. I smiled at him and greeted him politely. Brother Sungji, long time no see. His eyes rested on me for a moment, and then moved away. He nodded silently as a response, and then turned around to get the pen and ink. I didn't care. Gu Sungji had been like this since childhood, a taciturn person. It was extremely difficult to get a word out of him when talking to him. After the pen and ink were brought, just as I was about to write, there was a commotion at the door. I looked over, and saw that Gu Junhan actually showed up with Shen Tiantian. The two of them were acting intimately, seemingly having a close relationship. The people present smelled the flavor of gossip, and looked at me with strange eyes. In this circle, everyone knew that I was Gu Junhan's fiancé, yet he brought another woman to the old man of the Gu family's birthday banquet, which was no less than slapping me in the face, and slapping the Li family in the face. My father's face immediately darkened, and he was about to flare up on the spot. I stopped him. I smiled brightly, and looked at the two of them. It just so happens that you're here. Grandpa Gu wants to test our calligraphy. Tiantian, your calligraphy is very good, isn't it? Show us your skills. Shen Tiantian didn't know what I was up to, but she also didn't want to miss this opportunity to show off. She picked up the brush, and her handwriting was bold and flowing, looking magnificent. Everyone showed expressions of praise. I picked up the pen and wrote in one go. Birds of a feather flock together, and turtles match with tortoises. I presented the written words to Shen Tiantian. The onlookers burst into laughter. Shen Tiantian was so angry that her nose was almost crooked. Soon her expression returned to normal, and she gracefully took the paper. When she passed by me, she deliberately leaned close to my ear and said arrogantly, Li Xianxian, Uncle has already agreed that I can be with Brother Junhan. Later, Uncle Gu will announce in public that your engagement with Brother Junhan is cancelled, and then announce the news of my engagement with him. You'll never be able to beat me. At this time, Gu Junhan's father picked up the microphone, and announced in public that my engagement with Gu Junhan was cancelled, and next month Gu Junhan would be engaged to Shen Tiantian of the Shen family. The people present were in an uproar. Shen Tiantian looked at me with a victorious posture, looking extremely proud, and silently mouthed the word loser to me. I smiled and looked away. The next second, the police rushed in and handcuffed Gu Junhan, and took him away. Gu Junhan is suspected of fraud. Carry out the arrest. Shen Tiantian's smile immediately froze on her face. What a dramatic turn of events. Everyone's eyes were on her, and the sneers were undisguised. She covered her head and screamed, Impossible, impossible. It must be that bitch Li Xianxian who's behind this. Uncle Gu, please save Brother Junhan. Save him. In full view of everyone, she was thrown out by the bodyguards of the Gu family. Finally, the old man of the Gu family stood up to take charge and made a final decision. This unfilial descendant, Gu Junhan, has broken the law and committed a crime. He is removed from the Gu family. The general manager, Gu Dongliang, has poor judgment and can't distinguish right from wrong. He almost caused a great disaster to the company. From today on, he should stay at home and reflect. The position of general manager will be taken over by the eldest grandson, Gu Tsongji. As for the marriage between the Gu and Li families, he looked at my parents and said sincerely, "Nephew Li, Gu Junhan is really a good-for-nothing. The Gu family still has Tsongji. Can you and Xiangro consider Tsongji?" Although the old man of the Gu family was an elder, at this moment his tone was humble, putting himself in a very low position. My parents were a bit hesitant. They were still somewhat angry with the Gu family, but they were also a bit tempted by Gu Tsongji as a son-in-law. Gu Tsongji and I grew up together like childhood sweethearts. At first, they had their eyes on Gu Tsongji. They said that although he was taciturn, he had excellent character, and was very smart, a child prodigy, who knew that Gu Junhan came out of nowhere halfway, and I was determined to be with him, leaving them with no choice. Now it was like setting things right. While we were in a stalemate, Gu Tsongji walked up to me and for the first time ever said a word. "Xuanxuan, if you need it, I can help you." What this meant was, I suddenly opened my eyes wide. Could it be that Gu Tsongji had also awakened? Indeed, Gu Tsongji had also awakened. In the original plot, not much was written about him. He was just a supporting male character. Later, he was eliminated as a stepping stone for the male lead. He said that in dealing with Gu Junhan, he was also a beneficiary and should do his part. But I declined Gu Tsongji's help. My plan was going very smoothly. Without his help, I could still make them pay a heavy price. His eyes immediately dimmed, and he chose to respect my decision and turned away. There was really no need to involve Gu Tsongji, but the two of them were already under my control, and couldn't escape at all. The old man was someone I had arranged. After the Shen family went bankrupt, Shen Tiantian's father was obsessed with making a comeback. Before, my family had been pouring money into them. After I awakened, the funding chain was cut off. The Shen family was desperate for money. At this time, the old man appeared. The 10 million yuan betrothal gift was not a small amount, and was very sincere. Shen Tiantian couldn't resist. Then all the following things happened: the fight, the cuckold situation, and the chaos. To pay back the money, Shen Tiantian brainwashed Gu Junhan crazily, and even lied that she was pregnant with his child. As the father of the child, he should protect his wife and child. Gu Junhan, in a fit of passion, agreed. He not only agreed to help Shen Tiantian pay back the money, but also persuaded his father, saying that he and Shen Tiantian were true love, and he didn't want to regret it for the rest of his life. He must call off the engagement with me, slap me in the face, and vent Shen Tiantian's anger. And Gu Junhan's father had always doted on him. Thinking of Gu Junhan's mother's true love, he suddenly felt a sense of empathy, and actually agreed. Thus, the father and son put on such a show at the old man of the Gu family's birthday banquet. Gu Junhan didn't know that I was well prepared. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. He helped Shen Tiantian pay back the 10 million. Where did the money come from? A friend told him that there was a very profitable project. As long as he invested a small amount of money in a casino, he could make a fortune. He believed it. In fact, it was an illegal fraud, and I was the victim. I called the police. That's why he was arrested at the birthday banquet. Now he would spend his whole life in prison. Shen Tiantian dropped out of school. It was said that the Shen family went bankrupt again. Her family's financial situation could no longer afford the high tuition and expenses of the school. Gu Junhan's father, Gu Dongliang, was not willing to let his precious son end up like this. He thought that it was this which Shen Tiantian, who had bewitched his son, and ruined Gu Junhan's bright future. With nothing to do at home, he crazily targeted the Shen family and Shen Tiantian. He found someone to disfigure Shen Tiantian's face. The face that Shen Tiantian was most proud of, her delicate little white flower face, was gone. She had no hope of turning things around. Then Shen Tiantian disappeared. But I knew that Shen Tiantian wouldn't give up so easily. Sure enough, one day on a whim, I drove out to play by myself. When I passed through an intersection, a pickup truck crashed into my car like crazy. I might have been able to avoid the impact if I turned the steering wheel to the left, but not far to the left. A group of kindergarten children were crossing the road in an orderly manner under the guidance of their teacher. Once I turned the steering wheel, the consequences would be disastrous. This happened in an instant, leaving no time for me to think. Subconsciously, I chose not to turn the steering wheel and let my car take the impact of the pickup truck. With a loud bang, in a dizzying moment I fainted. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. It was indeed Shen Tiantian, who had disappeared for a long time, who had caused the accident. Clearly, it was Gu Dongliang who had been tormenting her, but she vented all her hatred on me. My injuries were not too serious: a broken arm, a concussion, and some abrasions. When the doctor told me, I wasn't surprised. My car had cost a fortune, and had been comprehensively strengthened and modified to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations. I always speculated about Shen Tiantian with the greatest malice. I lay in the hospital for half a month. Gu Tsongji came to see me every day. When he came, he didn't say much, just silently helped me pour tea, fetch water, and peel fruits. I didn't drive him away. If he wanted to serve me, let him. My parents saw us like this and always winked at me. I also smiled cheerfully and didn't dislike it. I felt an unprecedented sense of comfort. This was the most relaxed moment since I had awakened. Soon, I was almost recovered and could be discharged from the hospital. On a whim, I wanted to visit the prison to see Shen Tiantian. Gu Zongji accompanied me. When Shen Tiantian saw me, she was still very resentful. I just want to climb back to the top. I was born to be there. My parents told me to accept my fate and wanted to sell me to an old man to get married, telling me that a woman shouldn't aim too high. But can't a woman have ambition, scheming, and means? Does a woman always have to be virtuous, gentle, and kind? Does a woman always have to stay at home and take care of her husband and children? I just don't accept my fate. So Li Xianxian, what are you so proud of? You're just relying on your family's wealth and your status as the eldest daughter of the Li family to do whatever you want. If our identities and situations were reversed, if you were in my shoes, with your family in decline, falling from the clouds to the mud, covered in filth, how much better would you be? I sneered. You can have ambition, scheming, and means, but the prerequisite is that you have to be a human being. Didn't you see the children crossing the road? But for the sake of revenge, for the sake of killing me, you stepped on the gas pedal to the floor. Did you ever think that if something happened, how many families would fall into the abyss because of you? Of course you didn't. This is the difference between you and me. Don't try to make yourself look good, Shen Tiantian. The identity of a woman is not an excuse for your cruelty, nor is it a fig leaf for your illegal and criminal acts. After I finished speaking, I left. Shen Tiantian was screaming and cursing behind me. The crime of attempted murder awaited her, and the death penalty was likely. When I walked out of the gate, the sun was shining brightly. Gu Zongji silently accompanied me like a mascot. I suddenly smiled and understood the meaning of the redemption story. Self-redemption is the true redemption. The end.